So we're all pretty used to AI that can write an email or create a picture, right? But what if an AI could look at a movie trailer and predict, literally down to the neuron, exactly how your brain would react? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. Today, we're going to unpack a groundbreaking new model from Meta AI that's, for all intents and purposes, a digital mirror for the human brain.
I mean, really think about that for a second. An AI that knows on a neural level how a specific movie scene or a piece of music is going to make your brain light up. That is the incredible and, yeah, maybe a little unsettling promise of this new model they're calling Tribe V2.
Okay, so how does this digital mirror actually work, and what could it mean for all of us? Well, over the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the problem it's trying to solve, peek under the hood at the tech, check out its stunning results, see how it's basically creating a whole new field of virtual neuroscience, and finally, we'll get into the really big questions this all raises for our future.
First things first, let's really get a grip on the problem Meta's AI was built to solve. You see, for decades, studying the brain has been this incredibly slow, painstaking process. Scientists would map one specific function, like seeing faces, to one specific part of the brain. And while that gave us some huge insights, for sure, it also gave us a really fragmented picture of how the brain actually works as this complex, integrated system. And this is exactly where Tribe V2 comes in. It's not just another AI model. It's what's called a digital twin for brain activity. It creates this virtual copy that can simulate how our brains respond to the messy, multisensory world we live in, basically turning months of expensive lab work into just a few seconds of computation. So the big question is, how does this digital twin actually work? Let's pop the hood on the model's architecture and see how an AI can even begin to predict something as insanely complex as a brain scan. Well, it's a pretty sophisticated three-stage pipeline. First, it encodes all the stimuli, so the sights, the sounds, the words. Then it integrates all those inputs to find these universal patterns that are common across different people and different tasks. And then finally, it maps those patterns onto a virtual brain map. Now, that first step is absolutely key. The model is tri-modal. Think about it. We humans don't experience the world through one sense at a time. When we watch a movie, we're processing the video, the audio, and the dialogue all at once. Tribe V2 is designed to do the exact same thing, which gives it a much more holistic, real-world understanding of an experience. And what's really crucial here is that TRIV2 doesn't learn to see or hear from scratch. No way. It literally stands on the shoulders of giants. It's using powerful pre-trained foundation models from Meta for each sense, VJPA2 for video, Wave2Vec for audio, and Llama for text. These models do all the initial heavy lifting. Okay, so let's get to the results, because this is where the tech goes from being an impressive concept to something that is truly mind-bending in its capabilities. First off, the sheer level of detail is just staggering. The model delivers a 70-fold increase in resolution compared to the older systems. So it isn't just predicting activity in a few broad areas, it's predicting it across 70,000 tiny 3D pixels. They're called voxels that make up an entire brain scan. That's a huge jump. And that incredible resolution, it leads directly to accuracy that is 2 to 3 times better than any previous method, especially when it's tested on really complex stuff like movies and audiobooks. So what's the secret sauce for this huge leap in performance? It's all about the data. Earlier models, they were trained on just a handful of people. Tribe V2 was trained and evaluated on fMRI data from over 720 volunteers. That massive scale-up is what allows it to learn those universal patterns that are shared across so many different brains. And this massive scale unlocks a really powerful capability called zero-shot generalization. In simple terms, it means the model can accurately predict brain responses for a person it has never seen before or for a completely new task without needing any expensive retraining. It just works right out of the box. Now, this next part is going to sound a little wild, but it actually makes perfect sense. A real fMRI scan from a single person is always noisy, right? It can be affected by everything from their heartbeat to tiny head movements. But because Tribe V2 predicts a clean, ideal response based on data from hundreds of people, its prediction can actually be a better representation of the typical human response than any single real-world scan. How crazy is that? This powerful predictive ability isn't just some cool party trick. It's unlocking an entirely new way of doing science.
conducting neuroscience experiments virtually, right on a computer.
This new approach is called In-Silico neuroscience, and it's named for the silicon in computer chips. The best analogy is a digital wind tunnel for the brain. Just like an engineer can test thousands of airplane wing designs on a computer before building anything, neuroscientists can now use this AI as a digital test subject to rapidly test their hypotheses.
And you have to understand, this is a massive paradigm shift. Traditional lab work is slow, it's incredibly expensive, and it requires new brain scans for every single experiment. In-silico experiments are the complete opposite. They're fast, they're cheap, and you can run thousands of virtual tests in the time it would take to just set up one real-world scan. Now, to prove the model was actually learning something real about the brain, the researchers kind of gave it a final exam. They ran classic neuroscience experiments on the AI itself, and it passed with flying colors. The model correctly identified these famous specialized brain regions, like the area for recognizing faces or the one for processing language, essentially replicating decades of human-led research all on its own.
So what does a digital mirror of the brain actually mean for our future? This is where we need to zoom out to the big picture, because a tool this powerful has incredible potential for both promise and peril.
On one hand, the promise is just immense. This could speed up the diagnosis of brain disorders, help us build more human-like AI, and lead to hyper-personalized education. Imagine a learning app that adapts in real time based on your predicted brain activity, knowing exactly when you're engaged or confused. But on the other hand, the peril is just as real. This same tech could be used to design perfectly engineered, neurally addictive content, and it raises profound, serious questions about mental privacy.
And that really brings us to the final, crucial question we all have to think about. As AI moves from just automating our tasks to truly understanding our inner biology, who gets to own and control the data about our own brains? We really need to start having that conversation right now, because as we've just seen, this technology is no longer science fiction. It's here. Thanks for tuning in.